coming out. We've been doing National Bike to Work Day for quite a few years now. I've lost track, and that's actually, I think, a good thing because it speaks to the longevity of what we're trying to accomplish. This year's Bike to Work Day is special for us because in addition to celebrating Bike to Work Day, we're actually celebrating the ribbon cutting of our first Bike Walk Street. It's been a considerable effort to work with the community, get this on the ground. It's yet another piece of infrastructure that we have got on the ground now, moving forward towards building out a network of infrastructure. So that's been very exciting to kind of see all of these things starting to come to fruition. We're seeing a lot of excitement in the community from a lot of diverse different people. I think that really speaks to the point that we're getting a lot of attention and people really are starting to embrace the work that we're doing. And there are two people that are joining us here today that have been especially instrumental in that. First, of course, is Mayor Dwight Jones. He was the impetus for this back in 2010 with the creation of the Pedestrian Bicycle and Trails Planning Commission that kicked off this effort, that brought me on board, that really changed how we started approaching building out transportation and planning for this. And the other is Max Hep Buchanan with Sports Backers and Bike Walk RVA. They have been a tremendous partner, helping us do some of the heavy lifting, working with the community, bringing people on board. So that's kind of created this three-legged stool: the political will, the community will, and of course the folks in City Hall that are working on these projects to put them all together. And it's really building a solid foundation for us to continue working and moving forward. We've got a number of projects that are in various stages of completion that you'll see coming to fruition. So with that, I want to say thanks again for coming out and introduce Max Hep Buchanan to say a few words.
Thanks, Jake. I also want to give a quick thank you to Lamplighter Coffee for hosting us in their backyard, providing free coffee, for being pioneers in the bike movement. I want to thank Mayor Jones for everything you have done for walking and biking in Richmond over the last 7.5 years. Today is a special day for a few reasons. First, it's pretty much the nicest day we've had in May, finally. It's also Bike to Work Day. It's our last Bike to Work Day with Mayor Jones. It's fitting that we're cutting the ribbon on Floyd Avenue, a project which his administration has championed for about the last 2 or 3 years now. It's the first of its kind in the region, and while it was not an easy project to pass through the political process, it sets an important precedent for where we want to go in the years to come. With this project, Richmond is saying that people who walk and bike for transportation are just as important as people who drive. That it's okay to go a little slower than what we're accustomed to in the name of safety and comfort, and that we're a multimodal city that wants to be attractive to newcomers while also taking care of its long-term residents. We hope this is just one of many traffic-calmed streets that help make up a citywide network of protected bike lanes, paved trails, and neighborhood streets where everyone, regardless of age, ability, income, or where they live, feels comfortable walking and biking to get to where they need to go. And I want to thank everyone who came out this morning for your tireless advocacy and support. We wouldn't be here without you all. Thanks to Jake for sticking with us in good times and uncertain times. And I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Jones. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody. And thanks, Max and Jake, for your efforts in this regard. And I think this is the biggest crowd we've had for Bike to Work Week in the last 7 years. So give yourselves a hand. We're excited to see all of you. And we want to thank all of you who live in this community for being a part of the process to make this available. This did not just happen by happenstance or by the twitch of somebody's nose. We went through a process and you all were very much involved in it, and we want to thank you for it. I want to recognize the presence of Betsy Carr from the General Assembly, who is here with us today, and Parker Angelesto from the 5th District of City Council, who's here today. And this is an event that is a national event, Bike to Work Week, and it's the occasion for me to get out a bike and get on a bike at least once a year. And it's pointed toward recognizing the importance of saving fuel and vehicle maintenance and reducing the need for new roads, but I'm preaching to the choir because the crowd in front of me knows all about the health benefits and all of the things that are involved in encouraging people to make sure that we get out of our cars and get onto bikes. And so we are also excited about cutting the ribbon today for this bike walk street, this 2-mile stretch of Floyd Avenue. And this is just the beginning, because eventually we would like to have these kinds of bike walk streets that will connect us to the Capitol Trail, so that from here we'll be able to get all the way downtown, and then from downtown get all the way to Williamsburg. And so this is the beginning of a great infrastructure that's being put in place. And I think for those of us who plan on hanging around Richmond for a little while, we'll be able to look back and say that we were a part of the beginning of this great bicycle mania that really has turned the Richmond city into a city where there are communities of great cyclists who are enthusiastic about cycling. We've invested about $900,000 in this enterprise. Most of it is from federal funds, and we've identified and are identifying more money so that we can identify more bike walk streets in the city of Richmond. This is a part of our bike master plan, and we're excited about all of the things that are happening as it relates to cycling. So thank you for being with us today, and I need some people to get around me to make sure I don't fall, but we'll be able to get there because I've been promised there are no hills. So let's cut this ribbon and get moving. All right, help me count back from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There you go.
If you just have a seat for just a moment, and want to thank Rick Hood from Elwood Thompson. Let's give him a round of applause for providing the food and providing the place. And you know, there's no such thing as a free continental breakfast, and so you have to listen to me for at least 5 or 10 minutes, okay? This has been a great day, beautiful weather, and I want to thank all of those who took the ride with us today. But I thought I'd just take this opportunity to just talk about 1 or 2 things that are going on in Richmond to kind of put things in context. When we read the newspapers, sometimes we don't get the whole story, and so it's important, particularly for people who are enthusiastic about the city, to know that some really good things and cool things are going on. And the bike walk street that we just rode up was a tremendous, tremendous amenity that I think that we should be extremely proud of here in the city of Richmond. So let me take 5 minutes to go through some things and show you some slides about some of the things that I'd like for you to be aware of. I want to talk about some of the things that are going on that have highlighted our city of Richmond over the last few years, and I know that that's taking a risk at this particular time to talk about the good things that are going on in light of the political atmosphere that we find ourselves in. A lot of people complain about the job I did, but it's a funny thing, about 20 of them want this job. And so it's kind of a strange situation. But whoever gets the job is going to have an easier job than I had, because when I became mayor, and I got to read this because they've got these slides, and they told me that if I went extemporaneously, I'd mess up their slideshow. So they're allowing me to know what's most important, my stuff or their stuff, so their stuff won out. So they're going to have it a lot easier, because when I became mayor, we were coming out of the worst economic downfall since the Great Depression. And I remember thinking at that time, you know, when we come out of this thing, Richmond has got to be ready to go and things have got to turn around. And so we've been able to do that. I mean, we still have our challenges, as every urban center does have challenges, but yet I think that we've been able to overcome many of those challenges to the degree that we have a lot to be excited about. And you know that hardly a day goes by without Richmond being joined by, on some list, as being a cool place to visit, a cool place to eat, cool place to start a business. We're the third most tattooed city in the United States of America. We are the most playful city in America. A few weeks ago, we were called a perfect place to spend a long weekend. We've been called the modern cultural capital of the South. And thanks to our outdoor amenities, our beer scene, cool scenes like the Quirk Hotel and the Hilton Hotel, since John is here, and our restaurants, which have been named some of the best in America, all of these things are being noticed by people all over the country. We have things like the Folk Festival and the UCI World Cycling Championships, and it has made us get the attention not just of the country, but people are looking at us all over the world. And so, you know, in spite of what we hear, we need to be clear that Richmond is strong, it's resilient, it's resurgent, it's a great place to live. I actually talked to two people today who were on the bike ride who said that they moved in from Henrico County because they wanted to be in a bikeable community. And I think that we need to recognize that we are being recognized for that kind of amenity. New jobs are coming to the city, new businesses are popping up on nearly every corner. We're all excited about Stone in Fulton bringing new jobs to a neighborhood that's been left behind for a long time. But Stone is just one of many craft breweries that the city is being the home to. Our city skyline is changing with new office space and new homes. Dominion just announced the other day that they're going to build 2 new towers downtown, and so the skyline is changing even as we speak. And downtown is flourishing in so many ways. Today, our arts district, something else that we established during our time in office, is comprised of galleries and cultural institutions, shops, hotels, restaurants, and more. And an intentional effort on our part is that we're pushing to make this even a greater downtown, and we're pushing to make our tourism industry even greater, because those are dollars that are good dollars to receive. And we're up to about $600 million in tourism, which I think is an amazing thing that has not been the case in the past. We're also working to improve transportation downtown with the bus rapid transit system, the Pulse. And we've gone through many gyrations with this. A lot of planning is going into it. And at this point, I think that most people are fairly comfortable with it. But it's the first step in providing a regional transportation system. So when we talk about cycling, we also need to talk about people being able to live in a community where cars are not necessary, where we can get around with public transportation. And I believe that BRT is the first step in making that happen. And we're hoping that this will be impetus to make it not just a Richmond thing, but a regional thing as well. And speaking of transportation, something that we don't see, but something that's extremely important is the Richmond Marine Terminal. And the Richmond Marine Terminal is something that we've been working on. We now have become a part of the Virginia Port Authority, and this has resulted in $17 million in improvements. A lot of new shipping lines are coming into the Richmond, and now we're a part of the global economy that's going to bring more industry to the city and more jobs to the city. And we're utilizing the James River for commerce. We're dramatically upgrading access to the riverfront. One of the things that I said when I became mayor is I wanted us to emphasize the river, but I wanted us to be able to get close to it. I wanted us to be able to see it, feel the midst of the river on our faces, and our families want to be where the river is. And so the pedestrian bridge known as T. Tidal Potterfield is quickly advancing, and we're hoping to see that become a reality very, very soon. I want to cut the ribbon on that. The riverfront plan that we introduced and got passed during our administration is really being implemented at this time, and even with our budget restraints, we've been able to keep money in there for improvements along the riverfront. And you see pictures there, down there by Rockets Landing, the Capitol Trail, Stone. It's really going to be an amazing amenity along the river. And despite reports to the contrary, our investments in education has been extremely strong. We really need to emphasize the fact that we've built 4 new schools, including the first new high school in 40 years. It's important for us to say that we have contributed more to city schools in the last several years than any administration before, about 22% increase in the money that we've given to city schools. And let me just put a pin in that and say we're also meeting on a weekly basis with the school board and with stakeholders to find sustainable sources of income for schools that will go far beyond my administration, so that we don't have to go through the debacle that we went through this year during the budget. So I think that that's a very hopeful thing, that we'll be able to identify big amounts of money coming from future economic development that will be dedicated to schools on the capital side as well as on the general side. And then also transportation-wise on Main Street, the Main Street station, we've been working on this for 30 years. I can't take credit for that completely, but we are finishing it. And if you've been driving along 95, you can see the lights on, the roof is on, and in just a little while, that $90 million investment is going to pay off for us. And that's important also from a transportation standpoint, because all of us want to see high-speed rail between Washington and Richmond, and we're closer today than we've ever been. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but I think that most of us would be quite satisfied to have dependable rail between Richmond and Washington, something that we can count on. I rode the train last week, and it's much better than sitting on 95 in traffic, I tell you. So we're working on that, and that's going to be key to our growth. And so with investments like that, Richmond's future is better than it's ever been. We're taking great steps forward, not by default, but by design. You talked to Jake today, our bicycle and trails coordinator. He's the first in that position, and I cut a deal with the cycling community. When I first took office, they said that's what they wanted, and that's what they got. And today is a result of paying strict attention to the needs of the cycling committee and having somebody who has that responsibility every day. But we've also done that with tourism. We've also done that with volunteers. We've also done that with public arts and sustainability. We have people who are specifically responsible for moving those agendas forward. And so very happy for us to be together today, and the pedestrian, bicycle, and trails coordinator and community stakeholders now are able to say that we have our first ever Richmond Bicycle Master Plan, and the bike walk street that we rode on today is a part of that, and that's going to be a strategic part of the multimodal emphasis that the city is going to have as we go forward. We are looking forward to installing 420 bike racks around town, 3 miles of bike trails, completion of 23.5 miles of bike lanes. And so we're really making progress as it relates to cycling. And for those of you who saw my cool bike today, that bike is not just from the Jetsons or from another age, but that bike is a part of our bike share program. And we're going to have several hundred bikes around town that people can rent, and it's a bike like that. It has a motor assist, so you can press a button. They didn't let me press the button today, and so I was on my own power, but when we get them on the street, you'll be able to press a button, and instead of shifting gears, you'll have electronic motor assist on those bikes. And so we're excited about that. VCU is also going to be doing a bike share, so that means that wherever you are in the city, you will be able to have access to a bike. And so I think that the city's on the right course and that we've done some good stuff in the last 7.5 years. I'm excited about Richmond's future, and while I'll no longer be mayor, I'm not going to move out of town. I'm going to stay right here and be a pain in the behind to whoever takes my job. So thanks for being here, and if you have any questions of me, I'd be more than happy to take a few at this time.